From power struggles, like in the movie Mean Girls, to angst over body image, the teen years are filled with new challenges. Psychologist Lisa Damour is author of the new book, Untangled, guiding teenage girls through the 7 transitions into adulthood. We're going to talk with her in a moment, but first, with their parents' permission, girls opened up to us about the issues they're facing today.
Stress has always been a big issue for me.
It's kind of hard to balance everything.
I'm feeling so conflicted about the future.
Where am I going to be? What am I going to be doing?
Everything is so competitive.
I think teenagers get a bad rap from the older generation.
I feel like when I'm discussing taboo topics with my parents, I feel like I'm walking on a bunch of eggshells.
There's so many stereotypes that actually are not a reality.
I feel like a lot of girls feel pressured to look a certain way and act a certain way.
Being a girl, there's pressure to always have a perfection that no one has.
People judge a friendship on how long your Snapchat streak is.
Yeah. You have to keep posting pictures on Instagram, you have to like all your friends' photos. It kind of becomes like
a popularity thing.
My biggest challenge that I'm facing right now is like what I want to do with my life.
It's kind of scary thinking that in 2 years we're going to be off on our own.
Every single second of every single day, I'm just thinking of my dream and what I want to be and how I can mark my place in the world.
Lisa Damour, good morning.
Thanks so much for having me.
Thank you for writing this book. It's terrific. I mean, you write, I'm here to tell you your life with your teenage daughter doesn't have to feel like a tangled mess. What are some of the biggest challenges facing teens?
Well, it's interesting. I actually think that something one of those girls said is really true, that teenagers get a bad rap from adults. So sometimes the challenge is the expectation. Sometimes we talk about them as if they're crazy. We talk about them as if they don't make sense. And I wrote this book to bring order to chaos and to say there are patterns here, there are reasons for why girls do the things they do. And I think sometimes the challenge is that adults don't try to understand them as well as they can be understood.
You said that sometimes what appears crazy is actually normal teenage behavior. But what struck me is you said meanness peaks in 7th grade.
We cannot find a cure for the 7th grade. My sense about the 7th grade is that in the brain, if we had this neurology, that we could look at this, the how do I use and abuse social power switch flips before the should I use and abuse social power switch flips over.
So what's at the essence of a teenage girl's mind and sense of self as a teenager?
I think they are trying to manage so much at once. These girls on the clips you had talked about, there's a lot of stress. They're trying to manage inside stuff, they're trying to manage outside stuff. I think they want to be respected by adults. I think they want to be respected by their friends. I think they juggle far, far more than they get credit for.
And what do they need?
I think they need to be understood. I think that the whole point behind this book was so that parents could understand their daughters. Because when you have understanding, you can have a working relationship.
You also see men in your practice, of young boys.
I do. I see boys and teenage boys as well sometimes.
And are they have the same kinds of issues?
I think in the broad scheme, yes. I think that the basic challenges of adolescence are true for boys and girls. I think they play out in different ways. I think, one of the things that comes up when we look at the research is when girls are upset, they discuss it. When boys are upset, they distract themselves.
Yes, that's right. Yes.
And that really pulls things in 2 very different directions.
And you said, go ahead, Nora.
I was going to say her chapter titles in many ways are sort of a milestone for what everyone's going to. I want to read some of them, the stages from girl to adult. We can talk about those. It's parting with childhood, joining a new tribe, harnessing emotions, contending with adult authority, planning for the future, entering the romantic world, and caring for herself. Joining the new tribe, Gail was talking about that.
And we were talking about that social media, that they're not really addicted to technology, they're addicted to each other.
That's right. Researcher Dana Boyd has made that point, and she's really right. And I think we were too. Right? I remember being a teenager and getting home and getting on my corded phone for 3 hours and doing homework like that and watching TV like that. We just had bad technology. They have better technology to do what all teenagers want to do.
And what I thought was really important is that when teenagers pull away from you, and they will, parents should not take it as a personal rejection. That's something that always floors a mother when you're very close and all of a sudden she's acting nasty, she's not nice, she's mean to everybody, but she's mean to you, but nice to everybody else. That's normal.
It's normal, and I think parents often do take it personally. I think they feel like their daughter broke up with them, and I think that's very painful. And I think one way we can think about it is that girls are separating, and they want to practice that before they're really out of the house.
Listening to you, it reminds me of what the president said, that his teenage daughter is going away to college, and how in some ways He said, I can't talk about this without tearing up.
And it's so painful because often the girls are so good to go, so ready to go. So you have the kids skipping out the door and you've got the parent holding back tears, and that's a tough moment for those parents.
I like what you said about the difference between popular and powerful.
Yeah, one of the things that we see when we drill down on the research is that often when a kid says somebody's popular, what they actually mean is that they're powerful, that they make other kids uncomfortable or nervous, and so kids want to be their friends so as not to be their target. So I think, if a girl comes home and says, so-and-so's popular, I think it's really helpful to say, is she popular or is she powerful? Do kids like her or are they kind of nervous around her? And to take popularity off of that pedestal a bit, because what we see when we look at the research is that the most happy kids have one or two good friends.
Are you as wise about adults as you are children?
I know. I do take care of grown-ups in my practice. I was really lucky in my training. I got all of it. And a lot of times I'm taking care of parents. A lot of times I'm taking care of parents, which is a real honor for me to get to do.
Lisa, please don't leave without giving me your phone number. All right, Untangled goes on sale today, and Lisa is heading over to our Facebook page right now to answer your questions. This will be incredibly popular. Go to Facebook and powerful.com/CBS This Morning. We'll be right back.
Yeah, great.